Hello, 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 and welcome to the European Edge. I'm your host, Andrei Suslenko. And what a week it has been. In the United States, Donald Trump has been indicted on charges that could add up to over 30 years in prison, and that's huge and wild. While in the UK, it's raining. Again, just like in Warsaw, by the way, where I am. But not just any rain, crazy near hurricane-like weather is slamming the country, and that's huge and wet. Closer to home, here in the New Europe, Belarus accidentally sent military helicopters into Polish airspace, which is huge and, frankly, terrifying. And we suspect not an accident at all, or was it? And those are just some of the huge stories we will not be covering today. Coming up today is how your video games are melting your brain, and how Taylor Swift is melting your hearts, and how Iranian men are melting in each other's arms. All that, plus our in-depth look at the politics in your favorite sports, and our interview of the week. It's gonna be huge and legendary, so stick around and don't forget to subscribe to us here and like us on YouTube. Now, let's get on with the show. And what is that in the sky? A plane? A bird? No, it's a drone strike hitting Moscow again, and that's just super, man. This past weekend, Ukraine launched a series of drone attacks on Moscow, which damaged a 50-story office building. This was the 6th successful drone attack in the past several months, and one of the dozens since the war began. By the way, you still call it a conflict, huh? And how do you think, what was the Russian response?
How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah, that's right. The Russian Ministry of War was outraged, calling it an attempted terrorist attack. Holy shit, attempted terrorist attack, really? And former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev said Moscow would be forced to use nuclear weapons again if the Ukrainian counteroffensive is successful. In other words,
let's go! Come on! Come on!
wow, Ukraine strikes back at a country which has been trying to bomb it into the Stone Age for over 520 days. The nerve! I mean, can you even compare the damage that Ukraine has caused with its drones to endless Russian missile attacks like this one in Kharkiv last year?
Russian bombs have ripped through these buildings in central Kharkiv. The area is silent and brutally scarred.
The drone attacks in Moscow served as a wake-up call to Russian citizens that they are actually involved in a real war and not an imaginary one, like, say, Star Wars, the Battle for Middle-earth, or Vietnam. And while small in scale, the attack sent a very clear message to Russian citizens.
Что-то прилетело, клянусь. Такой взрыв был второй раз уже.
That message was best summarized by Ukrainian President Zelensky, who stated that the war is returning to the territory of Russia. Or, in other words, greetings, Vatniki, you can hide, but you cannot run. And then, hours later, as if by magic, Zelensky's hometown of Kryvyi Rih was struck by Russian missiles, killing 6, including a 6-year-old girl. Is it just a coincidence? I don't think so. And I'm sure, after the next Ukrainian drone attack, Russia will respond the same way it always does. There's a ghost in your machine, and it's talking pure. For those of you who can't get enough Russian propaganda from the internet or social media or Tucker Carlson, guess what? It's coming for your video games. That's right. Thought you were safe in your parents' basement with an Xbox or PlayStation? Think again. A New York Times report details how games like Minecraft and World of Tanks, which I used to play, and discussion sites like Discord and Steam have become venues for pure, vodka-fed Russian propaganda. Online players use the letter Z, that's Z for you Americans, the pro-Russian symbols for the invasion of Ukraine. They repeat the attempts to label Ukrainians as Nazis and even created a Russia Day parade on Roblox, which 13-year-old kids playing, which looks like it was about as much fun as the real-world one. So ask yourself this question.
Shall we play a game?
Oh, is right, younger time traveler Matthew Broderick. Watch out! For example, the video game Atomic Heart, released earlier this year, is set in 1950s USSR. It is filled with proud red banners and it boasts technological achievements that make Steve Jobs look Amish. In a wild coincidence, Atomic Heart's developer, a company called Moonfish, has deep connections with the Russian state itself. No way. And was accused of harvesting user data for the benefit of Russian state authorities. Yeah, game over, Moonfish. Now, come on, Russia. Putting Z's on digital tanks, call the Ukrainians Nazis? You call that propaganda? You bore us with your outdated nationalistic messaging. Let me show you how to do it right. It's time to make propaganda great again. If you really want to capture hearts and minds, there is a whole world of classic video games that could be updated. I've got Putman Fever. It's driving me fucking crazy. Or instead of the Rock Band video game, or maybe a Russian Rock Band video game. Get off the stage, loser. Bring on Oasis. But there is some good news. A Finnish newspaper has embedded a secret map in the video game Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I've spent dozens of hours playing this game when I was younger. So, this map leads to a secret room containing real news reports about the war in Ukraine, which Russia started, which bypass government censorship and can be read by Russian citizens who play the game online. Thank you, game producers. And the Steam platform features video games like Death from Above and Slava Ukraini, which allow players to send Russian invaders back to the motherland or fatherland or whatever they came from. So, there's hope in the counter-propaganda video game world. Unless, of course, Russia is right now working on counter-propaganda to counter the counter-propaganda, which means we could have to come up with counter-propaganda to counter the counter-propaganda, and fuck, my head hurts. Now let's get complex. This next story proves an old saying. It's not the size, Mick, that matters. It's how you use it. With photo ops like these, Taylor Swift has been making teenage boys shake uncontrollably for years. Nothing new there, right? But at a recent performance in Seattle, the foot stomping of her fans triggered an event which was equivalent to a 2.3 magnitude earthquake and was felt by people up to several miles away. Ooh. And no, it was not the noise of Satan summoning her back to hell. Meanwhile, in a more minor and boring earthquake, Elon Musk has allowed his old friend Kanye, his old friend Ye, back onto social media platform Twitter, his social media platform X, after he was banned for picking up a fight with the entire Jewish religion, picking up a fight with Larry David a few months ago. Taylor and Kanye are, of course, old friends. Remember when Kanye did this?
When you hear about slavery for 400 years, for 400 years, that sounds like a choice.
Yeah, Kanye, you made your choice. Oddly, Taylor Swift was once a darling of alt-right, who thought she was the perfect Aryan goddess because she kept her mouth shut in between songs, like they believe a good woman should do. But she has since disappointed her neo-Nazi admirers by coming out as a feminist and endorsing Democratic candidates in the US. So, plot twist, in 2023, Kanye West is a Nazi and Taylor Swift is a feminist activist. I bet no one had that on their bingo card. Move over, Priscilla. There's a new queen of the desert. We all know that the Iranian government does not just make life miserable for Ukrainians by selling cheap arms to Putin. It makes the lives of ordinary Iranians pretty miserable too, especially women and members of the LGBTQ community. Homosexual activity is punishable by death, and it is illegal for women to go out in public without a hijab. And one of the biggest enforcers of repressive laws was the guy called Reza Sagari. He was the head of culture and Islamic guidance in the Gilan province until a leaked video appeared to show him having sex with another man. We honestly do not know what to call this Iranian porn, the gay Iranian porn, the Iranian porn. It's a brand new genre, so no one's quite settled on the name of it yet. Please email us with your thoughts, though. Now, I can't show you the sex tape itself as it's been pulled off from social medias, and frankly, I did not want to ruin my internet browser history. But perhaps this scene from Love, Victor offers a tasteful representation of what went down, so to speak.
Damn, this is torture. Don't stop.
Just imagine one of these guys with a full beard and the other man with a Quran dangling suggestively out of his back pocket. Okay, enough of that. The Iranian government has said very little about this scandal, only that Tsagari has been removed from his post and that they had no prior knowledge of his passion to art house cinema. But there has to be more to the story, no? We have the number for the Iranian mission at the UN, and I'm gonna try calling them right now. We're gonna try talking to them.
Thank you for calling.
This is Mission of Iran to the United Nations. For English, please dial 1 now. زندگی جمهوری اسلامی ایران نزد سازمان ملل متحد است. اگر شماره داخلی مخاطب خود را می‌دانید، همکنون آن را وارد کنید.
Oh.
Hi, may I help you?
Hi, my name is Andrei Suslenko. I'm a journalist calling from Warsaw and the program called The European Edge. I have a couple of questions about Reza Tsagati's and allegations against him.
Okay, let me transfer to press department. One moment, please.
Yeah, please.
Thank you for calling.
Okay.
Mission
I think they're just too busy right now. And, oh wait, they texted me. Who this? New phone. Okay. Next up, the disunited colors of Benetton. While everyone else is keeping with blue and yellow, they are staying blue, white, and red. At the start of the war, a number of international companies decided to pull out of Russia. The first to go were BP, Shell, ExxonMobil, and McDonald's, which is weird, as these guys are far better known for being unethical and even evil, so now they're doing the right thing. Even the car manufacturer Renault put principles before profit when they sold their stake in Avtovaz for 1 ruble, and as you can see, enlisted the help of dead French actor Jacques Tati to move their product out of the evil empire. But there are still a lot of corporations hanging on in there, over 550 according to a recent Yale University report. Some, like Coke and Apple, are trading via backdoor with third countries, so they will go in our famous sanctions bad guy jar, which I'm gonna have here through all of the shows. And with each greedy company represented by one tiny dead, wounded, or missing soldier, and at least 223 more, adding up to these two, are conducting business as usual. And these are not just young startups trying to earn an honest living, like the good, hardworking people at Bob's Brilliant Boars Bar. We're talking massive household names like Benetton, Lacoste, Siemens, Bosch, Philips, and most heartbreakingly of all, TGI Fridays. TGI Fridays, come on! Would TGI Fridays even work in Russia? As the Ukrainian, I would say, just don't go there. I know it will be hard, but no, we must control our greedy appetites. F that war.